She was so close passing us, like there was no way she could not hear us, so she was just straight on ignoring us. And everyone looked at me and they all like kind of like group pressured me. It triggered something for me from high school because I started crying in the car when I was with my boyfriend. Hey guys, so today's video is a story time video, so grab a coffee or grab something to eat because today I want to tell you about the one time when I went to Mauritius with flight attendants, like with the whole cabin crew. Okay, so why did I go on vacation with a cabin crew? At the time, my boyfriend worked not for the airline, but he worked for the catering company that was making the food for the airline, so he was having a flight for 4 days for Mauritius, and obviously he wanted to take me with him so we can have a vacation, you know, together. So you have to know that flight attendants can take travel partners, so maybe their husband or their friends, with them on their flight where they are working. Since he worked only for the catering company, he couldn't do that, so he asked the cabin crew if someone of them was nice enough to book a ticket for me so that I can come along because he can't book a ticket. One of the flight attendants booked a ticket for me, so that's very nice, you know. Since she did that for me, I bought something for her. I bought some mini bottles of sparkling wine and I bought some chocolate just to say, you know, thank you. And when we were on the plane, like on our flight to Mauritius, which was like I think a 10-hour flight or something, she told me that her boyfriend was also on the airplane and if I wanted, we could go together through the airport so that we don't have to go alone, because obviously nobody of us has ever been there and, you know, airports are quite confusing. I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And, you know, the crew has their separate way of going through the airport. It probably takes them like 5 minutes or something. For us, obviously, it takes a little bit longer because we have to go through all the, you know, controlling things. We were at the passport control and there was like a very long queue. Okay, we were waiting for quite a time. And then when it was finally our turn, the lady at the, you know, passport control didn't believe him that the photo on the passport is actually him because he looked so different, and she was thinking about not letting him through. And I thought it was hilarious because we were on vacation and he almost couldn't make it, but whatever. I thought it was very funny, we were laughing about it. And then we finally came to the luggage where that girl, let's name her Ashley. So Ashley and my boyfriend were already waiting there for us, and I wanted to tell that he almost couldn't go through the passport control. She didn't even listen, like she immediately interrupted me and she was like, where were you for so long? What did you do? And she was grabbing him, pulling him away and going to the bus because we had like a bus for the airline crew that was waiting for us, and they were a little bit mad because it took us so long to get there and they didn't want to wait for us. And I was just like, and I was like a little bit confused, but I didn't really think a lot about it at that time. I was just like, yeah, whatever, maybe she's stressed. It was a long flight, whatever. Just ignored it pretty much. I think like the cabin crew was like 10 to 15 people. I don't remember exactly because, like I said, it was a long flight, it was a huge plane, and we all stayed at the hotel together. And almost all of them also brought at least one travel partner. So there were like a bunch of people. We also had like a huge table at the restaurant where we always had breakfast and dinner together. I would say like the younger flight attendants, they all were hanging out together throughout the day, and I didn't want to do that because obviously you're not obligated to spend time with the other members of the cabin crew. My boyfriend and I were not the only people who separated and did our own thing throughout the day, and obviously I wanted to go there to spend time with my boyfriend and we wanted to have our time alone. Also because we're in a bikini on the beach and I'm rather insecure. I don't want to be around other people all the time, so we spent our time alone during the day, which I think is fine because we saw each other anyways at breakfast and dinner every day, so why also hang out the whole day together? I mean, we just met on an airplane. It's not like we've been friends for years or something, you know what I mean? So we're at this hotel, super sunny, it's very nice, and that girl Ashley, she one day comes up to us and she's like, hey, we want to do like going swimming with dolphins, but not in like a cage but in the ocean. So you had to wake up, I think at like 5 a.m. and then you got onto a boat and drove out somewhere, and then you could jump into the water when there were are dolphins, and she asked us if we wanted to come with them. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to get up that early because understandable, I'm on vacation, I want to relax, I don't want to get up at 5 a.m. We were awake usually until 3 a.m. having fun with the crew pretty much. We were drinking cocktails, we were talking, it was a lot of fun. So we were staying up until 3 a.m. or something. I'm not gonna wake up at 5 a.m. to go jump in a very cold ocean. And I was just like, no, we don't want to do it. And she was a little bit weirded out by it. I don't know why. I think it bothered her that we didn't spend together time during the day and then we didn't want to do that thing. That was the first thing that happened, and then it got even funnier. She was asking us again if we want to come with her on like a trip. So you have to imagine we were in Mauritius for 4 full days. I think the 5th day was like when we arrived, and in that 4 days I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to look at things. I just wanted to relax in a hotel. We were also talking to the other flight attendants and their travel partners. We usually would meet for coffee or, like I said, dinner, drinking cocktails. We were doing things. I didn't want to, you know, go out and about and do tours and rent a car or whatever. And my boyfriend and I only had one vacation before that, so we just wanted to be together because he always had to work and I always have to study. Some of these flight attendants, they have been there for multiple times, so they obviously didn't care about the beach anymore. But for us it was the first time, you know, it was very nice. Sorry if the lighting is changing, but I'm sitting right next to a window. So on one evening she asked us in like a whole group of people, and she was asking us if we wanted to make like a whole day trip where we rent a car and then we go to some lions that you can, you know, pet and touch and whatever. Lions, I think it was like around 150 euros. I mean, obviously this vacation wasn't for free. Like, I had to pay for my flight and I also had to pay for the hotel. I just paid less because I was a travel partner. So I'm a student, I don't have a lot of money, and for me, spending so much money already on the vacation and then also having extra stuff that I would have to pay, it was just too much for me. And I just didn't want to do it because I felt also a little bit weird about going to lions that you can just touch and pet. Like, it didn't feel natural to me, and I don't think that these animals were happy or well treated. I don't know how to say it. And I think my boyfriend didn't quite grasp that I didn't want to do it, and he was like so excited because he loves lions and he didn't really think about it, and he was like, I want to do it. And everyone looked at me and they all like kind of like group pressured me because everyone was like, but he wants to do it and he's only gonna do it if you also come. And I just felt so uncomfortable. So I was like, okay, let's do it. Nobody really understood that I didn't want to spend the money. Obviously they all had normal wages because they were working. And then later I talked with my boyfriend and I was like, I didn't feel comfortable with it. And then the next morning I was really pissed because I just didn't want to go. I don't know, if you have this inner gut feeling, I just didn't want to spend all day going with a car. I don't know where, maybe it's also a problem that I have with not having control over the situation. There are people that I don't know and my boyfriend noticed it and he was like, you know what, we're not gonna go. So they did their trip, and after that she was really weird. I think she was really pissed that we didn't come with her. I remember we were like sitting at this restaurant and we were calling her name, and she was so close passing us. Like, there was no way she could not hear us, so she was just straight on ignoring us. But whatever. I mean, she booked my ticket, but that doesn't mean that I have to spend my whole vacation with her and that I have to do the things that she wanted to do, you know? I still paid for this vacation myself. So the last thing I want to tell about is the flight home. You have to know about me that I would say now I'm a little bit more okay, but at the time I was super anxious about flying. Ashley booked me a seat on the hallway, you know, where you can go. Didn't want to be in the middle or having the feeling of not being able to leave, also because I have to go to the toilet all the time and I don't want to bother people by having to stand up for me. Next to me was a travel partner of another flight attendant. There was this girl and this guy, and they were together on this trip, but they were not a couple, they were just work colleagues. okay? She had a boyfriend at the time. So she asked me if we could switch seats so that she could sit next to him and I take his seat, which was in the middle, like between people. Maybe this sounds stupid, but at the time I felt very uncomfortable switching seat. It made me anxious and I just wanted to have my seat. So I said, I'm very sorry, but I'm a little bit nervous and I just want to have my seat here, and I'm gonna go to the front, like where my boyfriend was working anyway, so you can just change when I'm not here. And she was so mad about it. By the way, let's call her Courtney. So Courtney was sleeping the entire flight. I had to wake her up when the food was coming. She wouldn't even have noticed, and I had to do everything for her, but she didn't even thank me for that or anything. And I remember when we came into the plane and there was Ashley, and she looked at Courtney. So you have to imagine, here's Courtney, here's Ashley, me in the middle, Ashley asking Courtney why these two, like she and the guy, weren't sitting next to each other. And Courtney just looked at me, and then Ashley rolled her eyes. I was in the middle, like they were like acting like I wasn't there, and they were just like talking about me. The people next to the guy also didn't want to switch their seats, so why would I have to do that? And then Ashley, the whole flight, it was like that she barely did what she had to do for all the other guests, but she was so rude to me. Honestly, the whole flight I just felt so uncomfortable. It was a 10-hour flight. I absolutely hated it. And then, to come to an end for this story, at the airplane, my boyfriend asked that guy, because he was like a little bit older and he was very nice, and he was also very understandable about why I didn't want to switch seats. My boyfriend asked him if he could take me through the airport to the station where all the flight attendants go, because they have their separate building that is outside of the airport. When we were landing, I think I'm not allowed to talk about this. So when we were landing, I was sitting in the cockpit. Since I was in the cockpit, I didn't know when all the other people left. And since that situation, as you might remember from when we were landing, where Ashley was pissed that we were so late, I was freaking out a little bit because that guy and Courtney and the other people were waiting for me, and I didn't know how long they have been waiting for me. So I was really stressed. There were a lot of people again at the passport control, and then I was just rushing to the luggage. I'm a very hectic and anxious person. When I saw them finally, I was like, oh my gosh, do you already have your luggage? I'm so sorry, I'm so late. And obviously in that moment, I noticed that they didn't have their luggage yet, but I was so stressed. And before I could say anything, Courtney was like, if we already had our luggage, we wouldn't be sitting here and waiting anymore. And I was like, I didn't say anything. I saw another travel partner that was also on the flight, and then I just walked with her to the other building. I mean, nothing really happened, but in that moment, it triggered something for me from high school, because I started crying in the car when I was with my boyfriend. It doesn't sound that bad. If you have ever been like an outsider in high school, you probably understand, and that's how I felt in that moment. I just felt that was like the popular group, and I was just, you know, made fun of. I have to say, the rest of the cabin crew was actually really nice. I had a lot of fun with some of them. They have so many stories to tell. They were like my favorite people to ever be around. Like, we were talking about being in New York, and then being in China, and then being in Los Angeles, and talking about the hotels and restaurants and how nice it was. I never want to be a flight attendant because I don't think it is as glamorous. When they were working at night, I was just like, whoa, I couldn't do anything right now. The vacation was super nice, but these two girls, I really didn't do anything to her, to any of them too, and they were just mean. They were just mean. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos from me, and also more story times, because I have a lot more to tell. And give the video a like if you enjoyed it. And other than that, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you on my next video. Bye!